This is a Public Art Advisory Committee, Tuesday, June 14th at 4:30 p.m. This meeting is compliant with the Ralph M. Brown Act as amended by California Assembly Bill number 361, effective September 16th, 2021, providing for a public health emergency exception to the standard teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide a safe environment for the public, staff, and the committee while allowing for public participation. The public may address the committee using exclusively remote public comment options. The committee may take action on any item listed in the agenda. The public may address the committee by joining this meeting and waiting for public comment. They may email aibera@brisbaneca.org, or they may text 415-407-2675. All right, Stuart, you want to, or excellent, sorry, go ahead. Danette, you want to take a roll call? We can get started.
All right, just letting you know we're at a job site, so we're having technical difficulties, so we're trying to keep this meeting moving along. All right, so go ahead with the roll call.
Councilmember Cunningham,
I'm here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Chair Davis,
Here.
Vice Chair Salmon,
Here.
Park and Rec Commissioner Greenlee absent. Park and Rec Commissioner Sewell,
Here.
Committee Member Grossman.
Here.
All right, move on to approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Chair Davis,
Aye.
Vice Chair Salmon,
Aye.
Park and Rec Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Committee Member Grossman.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. Oh, we just did, sorry.
No,
No,
that was the
approval of the
agenda.
minutes.
Mhm.
Sorry, it was agenda, sorry.
It's okay. So approval of minutes. Do I have a first and second, excluding Sewell and Salmon because they were absent at that meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Chair Davis
Aye.
and Committee Member Grossman.
Aye.
And abstaining is Vice Chair Salmon and Park and Rec Commissioner Sewell. Great.
All right, we'll move on to presentation and discussion items. Item D, discuss master plan planning meeting. I think for this item, it is to, Stuart has come in contact with some of the cities that were interested in their master plan. And so we want to discuss some dates so that we can have speakers come and make presentations on the process of the consultant and the process that they went through. So Stuart, do you have any information on that they've given you, or
sorry, I've been in contact, I've sent emails to Pasadena, Salinas, and Belmont, and I will send one to Berkeley based on our last conversation. Belmont has responded already and said you just let them know what day it is, and they will, the staff person, and they will find a person on the committee to be available. I have not heard back from Salinas or Pasadena yet, but what I would anticipate is if I can give them dates of when the committee is going to be meeting, it would make it easier for me to determine who would be available and to find people from those cities and also from Berkeley to come and talk about what process they went through and how it's working for them.
So my question is, I don't think we have our schedule listed, right? Coming up?
No, it says next meeting 2 weeks. from now.
Correct.
Right, so did we just have a poll, have Angel send something out and come up with our next few dates and then see if they align, or what do you think we should do?
That would work. I mean, I would think that maybe you might want to take some time off in July. Because, council goes dark in July. It's kind of a normal period when people are vacationing. So maybe we can start pulling people for August and September for
We go
meeting.
dark. We go dark in August.
Council, that's true. You do go completely dark in August. You start going dark starting in July. And if you would like to, as a committee, wait until September to come back. Because I know people here have their own vacations as well planned. That would be fine.
Okay, I mean, I see Camille has something, so go ahead, Camille.
I can only
Okay.
speak for myself. First, I have one question. Number one, the cities that we're inviting, when you say come in, we actually mean Zoom in, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was my number one question. And number two, for myself personally, I will be out most of July unless we just for personal reasons. I think I'll be, because we'll be Zooming, able to Zoom beginning in August or mid-August.
Okay,
Do most people want to go dark in July and August and take up in September? Or do you want, okay, Tom says yes, Karen says yes.
Yeah, from Beth.
Okay,
We all need a little bit of a break.
okay.
So,
okay,
and just to let you know, in September, I hopefully will have either late September or early October, I'll have the responses back from the RFP. So probably, maybe I can plan for that as like the first meeting in October and just give everybody until sometime in September to respond to the RFP. The RFP is going to council for their approval Thursday night. So I will submit it. I'll put it up on the California website after that. And I will send it to Foresight or the company that Beth has talked about in Minnesota, but I'll also send it to maybe some of the people who have done the master planning that we have liked. So that way those people would be aware of that we are looking for a consultant as well.
okay, so we're saying take off July, August, and reconvene in September?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess Angel will just send out that survey anyhow, so then we could just start getting that on calendars and come up with a couple dates, and then Stuart, you have a couple months in advance to reach out to the different cities, right?
Well, we could,
Absolutely. That would be good.
yeah, why don't,
And my question is, if those dates don't work, maybe another date was we could accommodate the dates with the Zoom with the other cities as well, possibly.
Yes.
Okay. Camille, you had something to say?
well, I was just wondering if we were going to consider September dates for that now so that she would already know. No,
We could do that. I mean, you want to go
just
ahead?
get it done.
Great.
That's fine. I just have a quick question for Stuart real quick though. Are we gonna do, let's say we do receive comment or times back from 2 or 3 cities, are we doing separate like 45-minute sessions with them? Are we gonna invite them all together, like a round table to have them discuss? How is it gonna be laid out, just so I can
I think
maybe slot like,
I think a couple of 45 minutes to an hour for each of them. So maybe if we do that. But I also thought that the committee wanted to meet once prior to anybody coming in so you can gather your questions.
Mm.
So probably if you can do 2 meetings in September, 2 meetings in October, maybe we can get through everybody by the end of October.
well, in October is gonna have the consultant RFP response.
Right, so I think what we will do in October is review them at the first meeting in October. And then maybe have another meeting that we need to schedule to invite whoever you would like to see in. And that may be if you invite up to 3 people, that might be like a 3-hour or 4-hour meeting is usually what happens.
I wouldn't like to
Oh.
do that. That sounds grueling and we won't remember anything. I prefer to schedule them each separately so we can remember and have time to talk about them.
Sure, that's another way to do it.
Mhm.
It just means that you
Yeah,
have
okay.
more days that we will need to do that over in October.
Can I just propose with some dates then?
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I just want to be clear, because I'm getting confused. September will be the time that we're scheduling so that we can discuss the questions we wish to ask the people in October.
So I think,
And then,
yes,
let's say, and then the second part of that is Beth's suggestion that we meet with them, one person at a time, and then possibly already have those questions. And then after each meeting, spend some time to discuss what we learned from that person, and then do another person another time. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly.
No, I don't. I think that we're supposed to be meeting to talk about what we want to talk to the members of the other
In September.
cities.
Yeah,
Right.
that we would do
Okay.
that in September.
yes.
That's
would
what I'm
su-
saying. Yeah.
What I would suggest is sometime in September, you do that, and then we can schedule, based on our schedule, we can schedule other meetings with those people. And if you want to do each of those one at a time, that'd be great. That's fine. But the other one is in October. I will bring back, hopefully,
That's what it
a
is.
number of proposals from the consultant working in the park for the park project. And then after we bring back those proposals, my suggestion would be you would narrow that down to 2 or 3 people or firms or organizations, and then you would want to do interviews with them as well sometime in October. So I think you're going to have a lot of, there's a lot of meetings coming up again in order to get both the master plan moving along and the art project or art elements in the park moving along.
Okay, so do we want to discuss dates now? You had a proposal, Madison?
Well, yeah, I mean, we tend to meet like Tuesdays. So September 6th is right after Labor Day, so people might be out of town. So I was thinking like the 13th and the 27th.
Angel, you're muted.
Trina,
Sorry.
Trina.
I know, sorry, thank you. I would suggest maybe doing the 12th, even if it's just for like a 45-minute one, to collect all of our questions that we kind of want to do and discuss it, and then maybe offer them to come on the 13th and that 27th, because otherwise we're going to run out of time. And that's only accommodating 2 cities. With that amount of
Why
time.
can't we do 2 on each day? I mean, that's not.
Yeah.
Not
45
should not
minutes.
be a huge stretch for everybody's brain. If we're going to go over these questions,
Mhm.
we will discuss between us what the questions are. I mean, if we do 1, 1, 1, 1, I mean, here we're going to be in December before we're done with all of this. I mean, let's get some things moving along here. And I
Yeah,
don't think
I
2 is a stretch. 4 is a stretch for sure, but 2 shouldn't be in a stretch in a meeting. What do you guys think?
No.
This
Well,
isn't-
I mean, I didn't even know that we need 45 minutes with each of them, but I do think we could do, I mean, our meetings are generally an hour and a half. We allot an hour and a half anyway. So
Yeah.
if we did 2 per meeting, I think that is fine.
Okay,
And-
so 2 at and 1 at a third meeting?
No, or I guess.
Is everybody else
And then
okay with that? I don't want to just, come in and blow everything up, but it's like, let's get things moving.
I'm okay with doing 2 people at one meeting, as long as we are all aware that the meeting will not be just an hour and a half. It would be closer to 2.5 hours. Because I think when you do, no matter who you interview or whenever, you're going to want to have at that moment a discussion after about the interview. And we should allow for that so that it's still
We-
fresh in our minds. And I'm fine. I just want us to make sure that we allot time if we have 2 people. So as a committee, we can have a discussion on what we learned from the 2 people that we interviewed.
Yeah,
Well, can we have the discussion? Can we just have the discussion the following week when we only interview one person? Because I feel like a week away, like we still can retain what we.
I thought we
Because
had
if we
4
have-
people.
We only have 1 right now. So we may
Okay.
only get 2 of the 5 that we want, or the 4 that we want. So
That's-
we don't even know how many we're going to get responses from. We only have 1 response now.
Well, the other thought is to allow 30 minutes for each one, and that way, if they go over, we have a cushion. And so we have a little bit of time to, if it goes to 35 minutes, and then we could start the other one on time, and that's a 30 minutes. So that way we have a little, so we're not really trying to end up in that, 2-hour spot. Beth,
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh, Beth has
I'm
one.
just gonna say that I'm fried after an hour and a half on Zoom. I will not be paying attention anymore. So I don't really see the point in, I would prefer to honor everybody's time and really consider what they have to say. And I think also after each person, we're gonna have a new set of questions. I know that's how I work. Like, things that I'm gonna learn, and then I'm gonna go like, oh, that was an interesting point. And I'd want to know more, and I want to talk about it with all of you. So I don't really see the point in pushing. And I also don't see the point of pushing myself or any of us to Zoom exhaustion, because I literally, I close down after an hour and a half, cannot do anymore. I know myself. So just saying that.
I respect that and I understand that, but I think on the same token, it's like there's also meeting exhaustion in general. So to have we're talking a map that means if we're doing everyone as one meeting, now my schedule is so full of meetings, because if I'm only meeting with one city at a time and we want to meet with, let's say if we got everyone on our list, that's 5 cities. Now that's a mass amount of meetings. I feel like there are some discussions that, I can condense, because public art's not my only meeting. So it's just and coming back also from council break, maybe we need to do this in August then, because coming back from council break, we're going to be Karen and I are going to be extremely overloaded with meetings. So I'm happy to meet in August if we want to try to have more meetings. But I just think that we're going to have so many meetings dedicated to interviewing representatives from different cities. And then we're going to have a bunch more meetings dedicated to interviewing candidates who are replying to the RFP. So I just feel like that's just so many meetings.
So maybe we could go over all of our questions, either end of August, the 22nd, 23rd, or the 29th and 30th, and then pick up and offer them either the 12th and 13th for one city or 2 cities, and then 26th and 27th for another 1 or so cities, and keep it to, like you said, a half hour plus an extra 15 minutes for our discussion or cushion time, something like that. If you're willing to start end of August, just to at least get the question,
So,
done.
I think, and I also think that when we're interviewing cities, it's not that we're interviewing them, we're trying to have a conversation about their experience.
Mhm.
So that's kind of really what it's about.
Mhm.
So, that's different from questions from an RFP. One is a gathering of information and a communication on ideas and ways that they moved. So that's kind of a gathering of one's research, so to speak. And one is interview, so to speak, from the information we have. I don't know, it might be interesting to have 2 people at the same time and have a discussion on how they both saw that, but that might be forever. I don't know,
I was
having
kind of
2
thinking
cities.
that too. What if, we had Belmont and Berkeley in the same room, and, Belmont said, you got a really good point, Berkeley, Brisbane, you might want to think about that.
Beth, I don't know if your hand's up or if it's still up from the last.
Yeah, it's up. I just wanted to say that I'm not going to be around or even have internet the entire month of August, so I'm out. for
Okay.
that, and
So then this is a September thing.
but I mean, don't plan around me. But I'll just say that I for sure will not be.
But
here
I think it's
for August.
important
Okay.
to have. For me, I think it would be important. But can we all agree that it's okay to have 2 cities at the same time? Or is that something that people don't like?
Well, I mean, I don't mind. I think 3 on one meeting is too many, but, and I respect the idea with Madison and Karen having so many meetings and then they're gonna, they have to play catch up when they get back. But I think having 2 meetings,
Well, it's
but,
not just that, it's also that like, well, this is gonna take.
right,
years.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. So I kind of think it needs to be one-on-one. I don't know, because Belmont just might talk the whole time and we may not get an opportunity to really, get some information from Berkeley or Pasadena or Salinas. So I kind of feel like they need to have their own time slot.
But
And
can
maybe we do like,
Madison, can we format it so that we talk about topics, so that it's a general discussion, so that we're not, I mean, it's going to be, it has to be managed, the so-called discussions. But I think that there's certain topics that we're all kind of interested in, one being community involvement. So
Mhm.
it'd be interesting. I don't know, it may not work, but I think it'd be interesting to see how one city involved that, what was their experience with this particular company, and what was that particular city's experience with another different company, so that you can have a kind of robust conversation. And they're going to give it, and then we're going to be ciphering and picking up that information.
all right, thank you, Camille. Beth, you have something else to say?
Oh,
Your hands up.
well, I'll just reiterate that I think we have to give each city a chance. What you said, Danette, like it would be really sad if we had somebody spending their time and then we ended up focusing all our time on one city or another. That it doesn't sound like that would be fair, and we would be a missed opportunity for us.
Okay, thank you. All right, so can we pick some dates now? And so we can move on to the next item?
So we're
In
picking
September?
3 dates in September.
I guess one is to meet and discuss what our questions are going to be. The other one is another date. Hopefully we can get 2 on that date. And the third date is for another one.
12th, 13th, and 27th is what I propose.
12th, 13th, and 27th.
So,
That works for me.
yeah, I think actually Stuart's going to be on vacation that whole week, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm
Which
sure
one week?
the week of the 12th.
Well, that's when we'll be
But-
formulating questions, so
Yeah.
I'm not, can you miss a meeting, Stuart? Are we,
Will he be missing?
oh, 2, that's right.
Well, yeah, I can miss whatever, I mean, I'm not here to develop the questions.
Well, I have a question. I know we've been meeting on Tuesdays. Is there like the 6th is like the day after Memorial Day, so that might be kind of cruel, but like, can we do that week, like maybe the 7th, which is a Wednesday, and then the following, the week of the 19th, we do too, like, the 20th and the 22nd or something. I don't know. You guys have council meeting, and I know you have a lot of subcommittees, but
I've got 5
Um,
meetings on my schedule already that week.
so what dates are out for you? How about we talk to you two and say
The
what?
21st is 100% out.
Okay, 21st is out. Karen, what's out for you?
19, 20, 21, and 22.
Yeah, 22, and then also probably September 1st. When are we having
15th.
council meeting?
15th and 29th.
Oh, and that entire week, I've got council meetings every single day.
The week of the 19th?
Yep.
So it's,
Yesterday, I only had 7.5 hours of meetings, but it's, so putting them together would probably make Madison and I much happier because we have so many meetings. We are on a minimum of 16 committees and boards.
Right.
What
So
about?
I think,
Mhm. Go ahead.
mhm. I think we need to have 2 on one for sure, 2 different cities, but I think they need to have their own time slot. So,
Sounds good.
Angel, you had something, an
I
idea?
was going to say, I mean, we could keep, so Stuart, not like it matters, but Stuart leaves the 7th. So we could either formulate our questions on either the evening of the 6th or the 7th without Stuart. And then we could do interviews when Stuart is back. He's back, like, do like the 19th or,
Can't do the
no,
19th.
19th and 20th are out, actually, never mind. Maybe, oh, 26th and 27th.
It's
Maybe.
looking like the 7th, the 12th, and the 13th. Like, that's what it's looking like, I think.
Okay,
Karen
right.
seems
Yep.
Okay, well, and Stuart won't be here for that, so he won't be monitoring it, but he could watch the recording later. We just need to make sure, you know.
So these would be the 2 days for correlating questions.
I was gonna say the 6th
7th?
or the 7th for correlating questions, and then the 12th or the 13th to offer, keep open to offer to 2 of the cities.
Right, so 2 meetings that week of the 5th, and then the.
No,
Stuart
the
is out.
6th or the 7th, Danette.
6th or the 7th for
I
formulating
thought it-
questions. And then 12th or the 13th for 1 or 2 cities, if we can, you know, let them choose what works best for them. We just have to keep it open. And then if we have a 3rd and or a 4th city, we could offer maybe the 26th or the 27th.
We could probably do the 12th, 13th maybe, because if they're back to back, it might be more fresh in our
Yeah.
minds. If that's like at the end of the 13th, like leave like a half hour at the end on the 13th to discuss, because it should be fresh in our mind at that point.
And try to maybe limit the meeting to a half hour for each person.
We're gonna know if we
Great.
need more time with them, you know, if we're getting some really great stuff out of people, you know, we're gonna know if we want to ask more questions from them.
Yeah, but I point was is if you say it's a half hour and we have extra, we want to have, we can have a cushion if we need to talk a little bit more.
Got it.
That's one. So that it's a half hour and then the next person may not be scheduled for 15 minutes after that. We can allot 45 minutes, but we're telling them it's a half hour meeting.
Okay.
And we have a 15-minute cushion to wrap it up if we need to. And if not, we can chit chat quickly for 15 minutes or take a 5-minute break and go to the bathroom, whatever you want to do. So that's my idea. Does
Okay,
that-
so Stuart will offer the
Oh.
12th and 13th, keep both those open, because we don't know if these are Park and Rec directors, you know, maybe they have a Park and Rec commission from their city on a certain night. So we should probably offer them 2 dates, the 12th and the 13th. Yes,
Okay, that's,
I'm,
That's
just-
something
yeah, I
to
just
say.
want to say that I'm not going to be back for the 6th and 7th. I'll be on the road. So I can't, if there's internet, I'll tune in. If not, I can't guarantee it. I'm sorry to be difficult, but I'm going to be on a road trip. So, yeah,
okay.
but go ahead.
So
I mean, like I said, I don't know what my plans are, very much in flux at this point, but I know that so I can't really commit. And I'll do my best, but I'll be on the road, which is going to be difficult to get internet. But I know on this,
Okay,
I won't be back by the 6th and 7th for sure.
all right, will you be able to submit some questions possibly, and then we can maybe, you know, see if we can address those?
I'll
that's an
try
idea.
to. Yeah, I mean, I do better when I'm sort of brainstorming with people than I do just sitting down by myself coming up with stuff. But I mean, I just want to say that I had a nice conversation with one of the Berkeley commissioners, who's a friend of mine, a colleague. And I just want to say it's really, really rich being able to talk to them. And that I don't think, you know, honestly, a half hour wasn't enough for me talking to her alone. And when we're going to be all 3 of us, you know, I mean, all of the whole committee shooting questions, it's just, you know, I don't think it's the kind of thing that can be rushed. I know everyone's over meetinged and everything else, but for me, I learned so much from her, and she's one of the people that offered to come from Berkeley. And I don't think we're going to get what we're hoping for if we're in a rush. But anyways,
I mean,
that's the way I work. So, and I know everybody's super busy with meetings, so that's
I would
all I
just
can-
respond to that. We need a 2-hour meeting, and it just feels like it's like we have to compromise somewhere.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
like-
I'll go along with whatever you guys want to do, but I know I'm going to be gone August, probably beginning of September. I'll tune in if I can. And, I don't want to be an obstacle. Do what you have to do. And, we'll get what we can out of it. And that's the way that goes.
It sounds like maybe we should try to just allot 45 minutes and then 15 minutes of intermission or run over time or discussion, and then maybe invite the other person, because that'd be a total of 2 hours, and most of our meetings are 4:35, hour and a half. I know that was a little long, but I think that could work.
Okay, Camille? Camille?
You're on mute,
Mute-
Camille.
You're muted.
I'm sorry. I agree with Beth. It may be that we are giving more time in a concentrated manner, but I do think that we should allot 2 hours and that we should devote ourselves to those 2 hours of getting information, gathering information. Getting our questions, and then the questions are going to cause discussion. If Beth can send us the questions, that would be great. I would be really, really interested in seeing those, having that part of our discussion, Beth, if you have time, if something comes to you. And then giving us 2 hours so that with the questions, and then, Beth is back. We don't have Lisa this evening, but I would think that if we could do 2 hours and get this done, the heart of the matter taken care of, then we can begin to digest it and move forward.
So
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, I think that maybe Stuart would send it, like hour slots for the 12th and the 13th. We may not even get 2 on one day. We don't know. He'll do like 4:30 to 5:30 and then 5:30 to 6:30, and then send it for the 12th and the 13th. And then as well as for that last month, the 26th and 27th for, a third and a fourth. So it might be where those are just, offer all 4 of those dates with 1 hour increments, and then see who can fit in where, because we don't know how busy their schedules are. And then at least it'll be all pretty much done in September. And then in October, we're just moving on to the consultant RFP.
Okay, Camille, you're trying to give us a message with sign language?
Oh, she said an hour each. I was saying, let's do 45 minutes, and if we go over into
Yeah.
an hour, that's the way.
Yes, 45 minutes with, yes, 45 minutes with a
I'm
15-minute
sorry.
breather.
Okay, all right.
Got that,
We need to
Stuart?
move on. Item C.
Oh, wait,
so I think we,
Muted yourself.
Oh, did we decide on the
Yeah.
dates?
Yes.
He's gonna throw them.
Can we say them
People
one
and-
more time, the dates?
12th, the 13th, the 26th and 27th. Angel?
With-
and
7.
And then the
Possibly
7th
just-
for questioning brainstorm time, which might be just a short, quick hour meeting of 45 minutes. And I can send out tentative hold dates on people's calendars.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm sorry to be so didactic and slow. So the 13th is the question
No,
day?
the 7th would be the questions.
Okay,
The 12th and the 13th would be potential meetings with the people from other
Cities.
cities. And then, or the 26th and 27th would be potential meetings with the other cities.
thank you. And then are we going to have a follow-up meeting that's to discuss everything that has happened before we jump into the RFP?
Hopefully
Yeah.
on one of the last days, we'll have time.
Okay,
So hopefully the 27th, like the second half would only be one person at the most, and then we'd have like, digesting time.
all right. We will move on to item C, which is review committee decision-making process and ground rules. And this item is kind of to, my guess is we might have to table this for continued discussion. But it is to figure out how we're going to make our decision-making process going forward. Is it just majority, for the consultant, for the artist. I just want to remind those who were on the committee and those who were not, that our last artist really wasn't anybody's number one. And so do we want to have that same process again? Is, do we end up with the default consultant that nobody wants but we can live with? The same applies to an artist. So I'm gonna also pass the torch to Stuart a little bit on that. If you wanted to
Sure,
make some more comments.
sure.
before,
So,
And then okay, go ahead.
sorry. So I mean, the challenge with always making a decision in a group of people is how does a group come to a final decision? One of the things that we noticed when we picked the artist for the mural, as Danette said, he was no one's number one choice. He was probably everybody's number two choice, because there was such a division between the number one person for everybody and the number three person for everybody. You either liked the style or you didn't like the style. So in a lot of decision making, choosing what's acceptable to everybody makes a lot of sense, but maybe in public art, it doesn't. Maybe in public art, you really want to have something where people are excited about what's being produced, not just okay with what's being produced. But then the question comes is, if you have 7 people making the decision, if you have 4 people who are excited and 3 people who aren't excited, is that okay? Because if this group represents the community as a whole, then the question comes is, are you as a group satisfied with 55% of the people liking something and 45% of the people thinking that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever? So really trying to figure out how you make a decision on how to pick public art. It's not as simple as, I think, just counting votes. And I think having a conversation about how you're going to make decisions, how are you going to listen to everybody, because the listening is very important. One of the books that I read that I think is one of the books I read has a phrase in it that always makes me stop and think, which is basically that until you accept somebody's no, the yes doesn't matter. Because the challenge is if everybody feels like you want to be part of a group and you can't dissent from the group, and you're going to say yes just to go along, even if you agree or not. And I think, I think as a public art committee, that's not where you want to be. You want to have everybody's ability to voice their concerns openly. But at the same time, you get to the other question, which is, once the group has come to a decision, how do you as a group move forward from that point? I mean, and no decision may be universally accepted 100%. Somebody might like it 70%, somebody might like it 100%, somebody might like it 40%. And the question at that point comes, how do you as a group move forward? Do you sit there and say that as a group, we've chosen this and we're all going to make it the best thing that we possibly can make? Or do you have times where somebody sits there and says, I didn't think that this was a good idea, and I'm going to withhold my opinion further. Am I wanting to discuss this any further because I didn't like it to begin with, so I'm not really going to participate from this point forward. And not to say that anybody in this group would do that, but I've been in groups where stuff like that has happened. And I want to make sure, I think Danette wanted to make sure that whatever you as a group decide is something that you as a group want to move forward with. And Danette called me up and talked to me about group decision making, and recognizing that we are beginning to make some important decisions as to what consultant to pick, what artist to pick, what master planning group to pick. I mean, all those things you will have different opinions on, and you want to make sure that as a group you're comfortable with the way that the decision process went, and that you're comfortable with moving forward how that will play out. Did I do a good job summarizing the thoughts, Danette?
Yes, I think so. So what I want to do, just to keep the meeting moving along, because we have about 40 minutes, is I'm just going to call on you and just try to keep your comments brief, just thoughts on this. And if you have more, then we'll come back to you, and then maybe we can come up with up some ideas today or table it for another time. So I'm going to start off with Camille. Do you have any thoughts on this since you were part of the original process with
Is there
The
a
last
direct
project.
question? A direct
yeah,
question?
Yeah, well, I didn't know what your thoughts were on this process, or do you think it should just be consensus, or?
What do I think? Without putting any kind of emphasis on the last process, the process that I do like is to continue to have questions. And if the questions get to a place that there's a real roadblock, then we reassess where the beginning point was. That I think, I mean, and that's in light of what we had before. Personally speaking, it would have been better when we got to the roadblock where we were in our original process, that we had started it all over. And that's how I feel. I think there's no discussion in terms of a process of creating art that's not important. And so when you get to a place where there is that kind of roadblock, I think it's time to step back and reevaluate.
Okay, thank you, Camille. Karen?
I didn't like the process we had, but because we hadn't done this before, I think we all went along with the idea. We, as I said at our last meeting, we are going to continue to make mistakes, and that's okay. I think in everybody's mind, the idea that making a mistake is a bad thing is not. I mean, you know, you've heard all of these comments about failing your way to the top. Not that I want to fail again, for sure, but we make mistakes. And if we learn from the mistakes we've made, and I think that's a really key point for us to think about here. What have we learned from the mistakes that we made? With the four of us that are here that were on that last committee. What I think that's really important for us to understand what we learned. And I don't know that I can answer that right now, but at least I have that question. It's like, what did we learn? You know, Madison wasn't happy, Danette wasn't happy, Camille wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. So what can we learn? Why weren't any of us happy? There's a good question. Why weren't any of us happy? Camille?
Well, I think, Karen, what I go back to is that the lesson that was learned there was to say, stop, this is not going where we thought it was going. And
Yeah,
to
you're probably
say,
right. Yeah,
let's stop and start from scratch.
Yeah, because we didn't, we plowed ahead and none of us were happy. We settled, all of us settled, the four of us settled. I know that. I know it wasn't Camille's first choice, and it certainly wasn't Madison, Danette, or my first choice. So we settled, and I think that was a mistake. And we've learned from that. And I think Camille's comment just now is probably really appropriate. If we get to that place again by choosing a different way to do things, Camille's totally right. We stop and reassess. So, you know, I don't think we should be fearful about saying, hey, you know, let's try, you know, okay, it's a 3-2 vote, we're going with a 3. And then if we get into it and we suddenly see, oh crap, this is really not, we're being recorded, sorry. This is not working right. We need to stop and rethink, retweak what we're doing. Does that make sense to you guys? Since you, I'm sorry, Tom and Beth, I'm just leaving you out just for this one little second, because we made that mistake. We were part of that mistake.
Okay, Beth, Camille, hold your question. I'll come back to you. I want to move it along. Madison, your turn with comments. Do you have any comments to make on that?
I think hindsight is like, when you look at it now, it's obvious what we should have done, right? I think we were all unhappy, but we were just trying to move it along. I think what worries me is when like 2 people are unhappy, but the rest of the group wants to move forward. You know, I think that it's unrealistic to say that we're all going to like unanimously like something.
We're not.
So I would hate to set that expectation that like we only move forward on projects that all of us are 100% happy with. Because I just don't think that that's realistic, that that's going to be the case. And I guess, you know, it's like we're going to have to take it on a case by case basis, really trying to make sure that, you know, we have a check-in with each other and say, like, do the majority of us feel really excited about this? And I think that's the thing, like, in helping you determine how you move forward, are the majority of us really liking this? And I think it's like, you know, if there are 4 people really excited and 3 people not, how many of us are on this committee? How many of us? I don't know. If it's like
7.
not, if, okay,
7,
7.
so-
So that, I mean, how do you, that also seems a little precarious. I mean, I could see like 5 people and 2 people not liking it, or 6 people liking it and 1 person not liking it. But then once you get back to like a 4 and 3, yeah, you have majority, but then like 3 people really feel strongly about it. I don't know. I guess you just have to take it by case basis. But I think we all have to like we all have to agree that there's like a willingness to say, okay, yeah, it might be slight majority, but if the 3 on the opposite side feels so strongly, then maybe we consider like going back to the drawing board. Camille has it here, but I
Okay,
think-
but I want to go through everybody. So thank you, Madison. Beth? Do you have any thoughts? Camille, I'm going to come back to you. Hold on.
Okay, no, I'm here,
We'll
I'm
do-
here, I'm here. I want to thank Stuart for bringing this up. And I feel like I'm kind of already in that situation on just going ahead with the RFP for the park. That Danette and I both voted no, and I didn't get, you know, because of the way the committee process worked, I was very frustrated because I didn't feel like we got to talk about what our concerns and apprehensions were. So therefore it's just moving forward, and I'm kind of going, okay, I don't feel like we're ready for prime time. I don't feel like we're ready to get out there and start interviewing consultants, because I don't think we know what our process is. I think this is a really important part where, you know, like we have been meeting for a year as this committee, but we just got Tom, and we haven't really figured out this kind of thing, for one, learned from past mistakes. And then also the key thing is we haven't figured out how we're going to interact with the community on this. And this is their park. And so that's my primary concern. And so I feel like, thank you, Stuart, for bringing this up. I think that this is also some of the stuff that we can ask some of the other commissions about. How do you do this kind of thing? Because I'm not sure I really know. And I also don't know like exactly how to do it within the format of the formality of this kind of a meeting, when once a vote gets taken, there's no kind of chance to hear what the apprehensions were. Or then my other question would be like, as Karen was saying, well, if we get to that place, then we absolutely need to reevaluate, but can we, when there's already been a vote and it's already gone to council, or all those kinds of things? Like how do we navigate that kind of thing? So these are just some of the things that come up as questions in my mind of how to move forward with this committee. And I'm sure there's a whole lot more, but I'll leave it at that for now.
And-
Well,
and
we
Okay,
did-
thank you.
And Beth, as much as I
Antoine?
would appreciate you saying it was my idea, Danette was the one who raised this issue.
Oh, thank you, Danette. Brilliant. Wonderful.
But we did, just to reflect on that just real quick, Beth, I mean, we did take back the one initial vote and had a 3rd time discussing it. So there had been multiple times. So it wasn't just a dry, no, trying. So just to be clarified.
Thank you, Angel. Okay, Tom, do you have any thoughts
Well,
on
Yeah, thank
the
you.
process?
Thanks, Danette. Coming in so new, I'm actually kind of shocked that we're putting that much pressure on us. We're all egomaniacs, right? And and we all really care about it, but we all are going to have really intense opinions. So I'm shocked that the public is not involved in the actual location and the in the picking of the art, is it crazy to allow the public to actually be a part of the decision process? We serve the public, and Beth, you said that, a little bit in your comment here. So that to me, I'm just shocked that the public is not going to be a part of the process of picking the art.
Well, no, I think, yeah, Stuart, would you like to answer that?
Sure. I mean, we haven't chosen how we're going to choose the art yet. We've only said that we want to bring a consultant in who will help us choose an artist and help us choose an art piece. So part of the conversation that this committee's had in the past is that we anticipate that the consultants will help us find a public process to involve the public in choosing what type of art piece would go in that location.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
but
I
the
think,
public hasn't been involved in choosing the location.
right, that is right. We chose the location, the site, and the location on the site. So I think maybe that's where, the public has not been a part of that process.
Is there an answer to the public if there's pushback, or what's our answer?
I don't know, I didn't vote for it.
Camille
My
has her hand
answer.
up.
Well, my
No, go ahead.
understanding is that there's presently, there's limited numbers of places in town that we can put public art. We all got those maps in the very beginning. And so where I was coming from is that, well, it's just personal, that my intention was that this Public Arts Committee would end up doing something in every one of those places. So it wasn't which one, like there was no other, it was where do we start?
That's interesting.
So
It
that
was
was where
also
I came from. I came from hoping, assuming, I shouldn't say hoping, I was assuming, maybe I made the wrong assumption, but I assumed that our intention was to put public art in every place that was feasibly possible right now that we had. That's not to say it wouldn't grow, that there were other opportunities, but with the possibilities we had now was to begin that process. So to a certain extent, we could have thrown the dice. The reason, for my personal reason, was to choose that place is that I thought, well, it might be kind of interesting. And that was it. Because we had many other places, and other places came up that seemed to be a little more intensive in the intention or what the needs were. This particular space, the way that I perceived it, was of less intention and needs, so to speak. So that's how I drew that conclusion. But in
All right,
terms
thank
of where it was everywhere.
Okay, thank you, Camille. Tom, I'm gonna go back to you. Karen, I see your hand up. Did you have some more comments to make, Tom?
No, I mean, I would love to see the map, of the options. I actually think Camille's response is interesting, that all of them were part of the process. I think as far as public demand, doing something with the tree in that area where the tree fell would be my first pick, but that's just me.
Well, we're putting a new tree.
Yeah. And I think that,
Okay,
That
Yeah.
wasn't one of
Okay.
the areas.
That's not an area?
Okay.
Okay, I would love a map. It'd be great if someone
Yeah.
could send me that
I,
map.
well, I can pull it up right now, but I think also and I know Karen had it, but also I had heard from you guys before, was that the committee was a little gun shy of doing someplace that was too public, like at the skate park area or down Visitation. So that was, from what I remember, your guys' conversation was you wanted it to be a little bit off to the side, not this big, huge, flashy thing. So you guys could ease back into choosing art. That's from what I remember.
And I would take
Yes,
pressure
Angel.
off ourselves. I would take pressure off ourselves and involve the public in some way. That's my 2 cents. Coming in hot here.
Oh, they
As
are.
All
the
right.
new person.
all right, thank you, Tom. I'm gonna go back to the order that I started in. Karen, I see you have your hand up. I'm gonna get back to you in one more second. Camille, I know you responded to Tom, but you had your hand up before. Did you say what you wanted originally?
I will
Okay.
wait. I'll wait.
Okay, Karen, go ahead.
I was just gonna add, since, we're gonna pull up that map for Tom, that, Stuart, you know how we have the public arts ordinance that shows what the money can be used for? Can you also make that available to Tom? Because it's not just, what spaces can we put art in? It's, what is the process? And obviously we're going to get through that, Tom, when we talk to these other consultants and find out, what did they do? How did they bring in the public? But we also have a list that shows what we can use public arts funds for. And it's not just plopping a piece of art in a space. There's a whole list. Stuart, can you get that?
Sure,
Actually, can you just get that to all of us again, that list?
Sure.
I think that might be important. Thank you. That was all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Madison, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, well, I just want to echo that it is true what Camille said. Like, we had the intention of putting art in all the places. The other place that we have to consider city property. So I think that that's the important thing here, is we have to, and so there's only like a certain amount of places that whittles down the list. We were talking about that strip, there's a strip on Bayshore, but then we had decided, like, that art's really not necessarily for Brisbane community. That's like for people driving by. And so we kind of felt like our next project should be something that's really in town, not like for people that are driving on Bayshore. So that's why we tabled that one for now. Then we were considering visitation, but we thought maybe it would be good, to have like the master plan done first, because that's going to be like a big corridor, and maybe we're going to have like discuss a theme that we want, or multiple pieces that kind of coordinate. And so we felt like that's like also the big league. So we saved visitation for when we are further along in this process. And then the other big things that we considered was like the stairways in town, and like maybe mosaicing the stairways or doing something like that. But some of the the stairways we had been talking about, like, are kind of, they're in disrepair. And there's going to be the construction of a brand new stairway. So we thought, hey, well, why don't we just wait until a brand new stairway till we get funds for that? Because we're going to be getting funds, county funds, to create a brand new stairway. And actually, the city's getting that. So once we have those funds, once we know that that's actually going to happen, then we could start integrating art into the lighting or into the actual construction of the stairs or something like that. So the timing was off. So it just seemed like very clearly that this space just made sense. And also because it's a little bit off to the side. So we could do something that, again, like, wasn't in everyone's faces while we're getting our feet wet. So that was just like the background on why this was chosen, this particular thing was chosen. But I think the intention, obviously, that the reason why we're having a consultant is so that there is somebody there to help us guide in the public process. And whoever artist we choose, that is going to be part of what we're requiring, is like community outreach sessions to figure out how the community feels about the art that they're proposing, or to gather insight into like city demographics or values, or all that sort of thing as they're creating the art. And that did occur in the last art that we had. I mean, there was community outreach, but I think like the intent is to have that be much more extensive going forward.
All right, thank you, Madison. Beth, do you have any other comments to make?
No, I'm okay, thanks.
Okay, and Tom? You're good? Okay. So, well, I haven't had a chance to say anything yet. So I would like to say about the process. Yes, the process that we encountered with the artist for the skate park, I think wasn't the best, because as we have already discussed, nobody got their first choice. So I think that needs to be a red flag. And I can see that maybe we need to table this to another meeting, which is probably going to be sometime, who knows when, I don't know. But I think we need to come up with how do we figure it out? Is it just majority, 4-3, 5-2, that kind of thing, and that's that? Or because we need to have some kind of ground rules, I think, so we know how to go forward, so we don't have animosity, that we can work together as a group. that we can make progress and actually get items done. Can you still hear me? Because I lost everybody's video.
Yeah, you're calling
Yes.
in.
Oh, okay. Yes, okay. So I think we do need to have some discussion on what's acceptable, or some kind of ground rules, so that we don't say, well, when it happens, we'll figure it out. And then the other thought was on the process of our selecting our next location. Wasn't really a problem for me, actually. And I will reiterate, until we went through the process of reviewing master plans in other cities and seeing how much community involvement was done. And yes, we only have limited locations, and the map is up there, and it's all the blue items. Is it the blue? The blue, yeah, everything that's blue
City property. That
is city-owned property. You may, and they may, those could be potential sites, but maybe not all of them, like the acres out, some of them are not feasible. So all the blue is city-owned property, and those are possibly areas. And we had talked about these several years ago. So for instance, the park, my question is it that location in the park, or is that the priority right now? But I don't know, because there wasn't really any kind of outreach. So, so we do have a location. It is the park, and the site is the park, and the location is across from the village. So that's where I'm coming from.
That place because it's like we're trying to invite more people back.
Right. I don't personally have a problem, but my process of educating myself in the master plan, I just felt like there was a component that was missing on how we got there. And to me, that was an important component. Is that where the community wants us to be? That's my question, and I don't know. So unfortunately, I had to vote no. So anyhow, we're running out of time. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we're in the middle of a job anyhow. So my question is, should we table this item, give it some thought, and come back to what our decision-making process is and ground rules? Because I don't think we really came up with any definitive answers. So I will just call you one by one so we can move along. Camille, what is your
I
thought on
think that
that?
this is an ongoing conversation at all times, at any time, to be quite honest.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
And I think this is one of the key questions we ask the people we interview. How did you deal with this? Because we might learn a lot from Belmont and Berkeley and whoever else helps us out here. I think that's it's a question that we're all asking. So there we go. We got our first question, I think.
Okay, great, thanks. Madison
Agree.
and Beth?
I agree, Carrie. I just had to laugh because if you think that Berkeley doesn't have this kind of problem, you got something coming.
Of course they do. I mean, you put 5 artists in a room, we're gonna wrestle forever.
I think that every city and every organization, every working artist committee has this. Every theater piece, every dance piece has this at all times. That's kind of the fun of it.
Right, and Tom?
I just say remove the pressure from us, involve the community. And if we have to stick with this, then we say that, as Camille said, we're trying this one and we have others. Our goal is to check all these boxes, and that's the why. But I think take the pressure off us and let the community be involved.
Okay, so we'll just table this item, and I think maybe this is one of the great questions we'll ask when we talk to the different cities on how they come across their decision-making process. All right, so at this time, I think, are there any more comments that any of the committee members would like to make on item C? All right, if not, we'll move on to public comment.
I have not received any public comments. Let me just take a double check on my email. My computer is running extremely slow. That's why it took so long to pull the map up. It's on snail mode right now.
Oh, they don't-
Um,
yeah. She's gonna be back.
I do not have any public comments, and I did not receive any text.
Okay, so our next meeting is to be determined, so you'll get us an email or some kind of communication, is that correct, Angel?
I'm gonna, yes, so it sounds like September 7th is a for sure brainstorm time, and then I'm gonna send you guys all tentative holds on your calendars for the 12th, the 13th, the 26th, and the 27th. Not saying all will be
Okay.
booked, but just tentative holds.
Okay, sounds, all right, well, at this point, I think we'll just go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Thanks for all the great input, everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.